The yellow cab screeched to a halt, tires protesting against the unforgiving asphalt. Grand Central, lady, the driver barked, already halfway out of the car, eager for his next fare. I fumbled for my wallet, a whirlwind of nerves and excitement swirling within me. New York. The city that never sleeps, the backdrop of a million movies, the place where dreams either soared or crashed and burned. And I, Elara, a small-town librarian with a heart full of hope and a suitcase full of sensible cardigans, was finally here. Not for the sights, not for the shows, but for him. Daniel, we'd met online, a whirlwind of witty banter and late-night chats that had blossomed into something more. He was a writer. A romantic, a soul who understood my quiet love for old books and rainy afternoons. He'd painted me a picture of New York, a city of hidden bookstores and cozy cafes, a place where our story could truly begin. And now, here I was, stepping onto the bustling sidewalk, the cacophony of the city a stark contrast to the quiet charm of my small town. My first few days were a blur. I wandered through Central Park, marveling at the sheer scale of it, the vibrant green a welcome respite from the concrete jungle. I visited museums, lost in worlds of art and history. I even braved Times Square, the dazzling lights and throngs of people, a sensory overload I'd never experienced before. But always, in the back of my mind, was Daniel. We'd agreed to meet at a small Italian restaurant in Greenwich Village. I'd spent hours agonizing over what to wear, finally settling on a simple blue dress that made me feel both confident and comfortable. As I walked towards the restaurant, my heart pounded in my chest like a drum. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. The restaurant was charming, with checkered tablecloths and the aroma of garlic and oregano filling the air. I spotted him immediately, sitting at a corner table, his dark hair falling across his forehead, just like in his profile picture. He looked up as I approached, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Elara?" he asked, his voice just as I remembered it from our late-night calls. "Daniel," I replied, my own smile mirroring his. We talked for hours that night, the conversation flowing effortlessly between us. He told me about his writing, his struggles, his dreams. I told him about my love for books, my quiet life, my hopes for the future. He laughed at my small-town anecdotes, and I was captivated by his stories of the city. He was everything I'd imagined him to be, and more. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of romance. We explored the city together, hand in hand, discovering hidden gems and sharing stolen kisses in quiet corners. We went to jazz clubs in Harlem, strolled along the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset, and shared late-night slices of pizza under the glow of the city lights. I fell in love with him, completely and utterly. He was my New York, my dream come true. Then, one rainy afternoon, as we were browsing through a used bookstore in the East Village, I saw it. A small, leather-bound notebook tucked away on a shelf. Something about it caught my eye, and I pulled it down. As I flipped through the pages, my heart stopped. It was Daniel's handwriting. But it wasn't his poetry, or his musings on life. It was a list. A list of women. Each name meticulously written, followed by a date and a brief description. And there, near the top of the list, was my name. Elara, small-town librarian. Naive. Easy target. The words blurred before my eyes. The room seemed to spin. I looked at Daniel, who was browsing through a different section of the store, his back to me. He turned around, saw the notebook in my hand, and his smile vanished. "What's this?" I whispered, my voice trembling. He snatched the notebook from my hand, his face a mask of anger. "None of your business," he growled. "None of my business." I repeated, the words catching in my throat. "My name is on this list." He scoffed. You think you're special? You're just another one, Ilara. Another gullible small-town girl who fell for my act. I stared at him, tears welling up in my eyes. The man I thought I loved, the man who had swept me off my feet, was a fraud. A con artist. He'd played me, used me, just like he'd used all the other women on that list. I don't understand, I stammered. It's simple, he said, his voice cold and hard. I needed money. You seemed like an easy mark. Small-town girl, no family, a decent savings account. I figured I could charm you, get what I needed, and move on. My heart shattered into a million pieces. The dream I had built, the love I thought I'd found, was all a lie. I turned and ran, tears streaming down my face, the rain mirroring my own despair. I didn't stop running until I reached Grand Central Station. I bought the first ticket I could find, a one-way trip back to my small town. As the train pulled away from the station, I looked out the window at the city lights, the dazzling skyline now a symbol of my heartbreak. Back in my quiet town, I tried to pick up the pieces of my life. I threw myself into my work at the library, finding solace in the company of books and the familiar faces of my patrons. But the memory of Daniel, the pain of his betrayal, lingered like a shadow. One day, a package arrived at the library, addressed to me. Inside, I found a small, leather-bound notebook. It was the same notebook I'd found in the bookstore. But this time, there was something else inside. A letter. Ilara, it read. I know I hurt you. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I need you to know the truth. The list.it wasn't what you think. It wasn't a list of conquests. It was a list of women I'd helped. Women who were in trouble, women who needed someone to believe in them. I used my charm, my act, as you called it, to gain their trust, to help them get back on their feet. I'd write down their stories, their struggles, their triumphs, in that notebook. You were on the list because you were different. I didn't want to take advantage of you. I genuinely fell for you. But my past caught up with me. Someone I'd helped years ago, someone I thought I'd escaped, came back into my life. Demanding money. I had to protect you, Ilara. I had to push you away, make you hate me, so you wouldn't get involved. I know it was wrong. I know I made a mess of everything. But I did it for you. I love you, Ilara. I always will. I stared at the letter, tears streaming down my face once again. But these were different tears. Tears of confusion, of disbelief, of a flicker of hope. Was it possible? Could Daniel's betrayal have been an act of love? I looked at the notebook, at the list of names, at my own name. And then, I saw it. At the bottom of the page, beneath my name, were two words. My love.